We love that RV camping allows us to go anywhere, whether you're in the middle of the forest or out in the desert or even on the beach. It's amazing to have all your favorite amenities and a nice place to sleep after the day is done. But what you might not know is that the US has a ton of music festivals and events throughout the year, and a lot of those events actually have RV camping available right on site. So your camping spaces just got a whole lot bigger. Camping directly on site at these festivals is the best way to immerse yourself in the experience and see your favorite performers while still having all the fun and having a nice quiet place to escape when you need a little bit of a timeout. That being said, camping at an event is going to be a little bit different from your traditional campground camping because you're not going to have any hookups more often than not, so you're going to be required to do a little bit of dry camping, which requires a little bit of know-how. Hi there, my name is Katie. I'm with RVshare, and today I'm going to take you through some things that you will need to know as a beginner to have a successful camping trip at an event before you get those camping passes. As always, if you like what you learned in this video, please give us a like and make sure you subscribe for more tips and tricks. Tip number 1, dry camping, boondocking. Let's start with the definitions. In the RV world, boondocking is often described as camping without any hookups, and hookups are really your ability to hook up to water, electric, and sewage. However, in some cases, dry camping might be the better term to use because boondocking really refers to camping outside of campgrounds and without hookups, while dry camping just refers to camping without any hookups. So in other words, all boondocking is dry camping, but not all dry camping is boondocking. So when you stay at a campground and you don't have any hookups, you are not boondocking, you're dry camping. But honestly, either of these terms are really about semantics, and either way, you're gonna really need to know how to be self-sufficient in order to have a successful trip in an RV. If you have watched our video on how to pick the right RV, you are gonna know already that there are a ton of different types of RVs out there, and they're all gonna have benefits and drawbacks depending on what you wanna use them for and what the needs are of your party. And if you haven't watched that yet, highly recommend checking it out over here. But this is gonna hold true for events as well and festivals too. What we recommend for an RV for these types of events is travel trailers, and that's gonna be for mainly 2 reasons. One is that we find that people who rent RVs for festivals usually are not moving the vehicle. So they get there set up and then it kind of stays there until the end of the event and then they take it away. With that, you really don't need the driving space, which actually can save you some money. So because travel trailers do not dedicate any resources to building an engine and all the mechanics that go with that, is usually oftentimes cheaper for owners to purchase travel trailers up front. Therefore, that's going to be reflected in your nightly rate. The second reason for that is that, again, because travel trailers aren't dedicating any of that space to the driving area, you usually have a little bit more square footage of living space, which is great. We know that a lot of people will go to festivals as a party or with friends, and so you're more likely to be able to fit your entire crew in one space if you do a travel trailer, because again, we don't have to dedicate any of that living space to the driving area. Now, the trade-off with the travel trailers is that you are either going to have a vehicle that can tow a travel trailer and be, kind of prepared in the experience of towing something pretty large, or you would consider getting a delivery. So you'll want to talk to the owner. This is an add-on that a lot of owners have on their vehicles, and you can add an additional fee and they'll deliver it to your site, help you with the setup, and then after the event is over, they'll come and they'll break it down and take it away for you. It's a great add-on, but it does cost extra, so it's just something to consider when you're trying to build out your plans for the trip. Speaking of talking to your owners, you are going to need to talk and disclose to your owner where and how you plan on using their RV. It's important to know that not all owners allow their rigs to go to festivals. There's a couple of different reasons for that. One, there are just simply some RVs that are not equipped well for dry camping and dry camping long term. And then there are other festivals in general where owners are not comfortable and consider the risk being too high. Some owners will require additional fees for festivals or higher deductibles for festivals because they are taking on a bigger risk. Dry camping can be pretty hard on a vehicle, especially if you're not really sure what you are doing. And again, kind of going back to that really deep know-how on how to operate the RV as well. What having higher fees or higher deductibles do just really allows them to offset that risk and really, do different things that they wouldn't do for a normal vacation, like getting the RV professionally cleaned. Some owners will also have additional add-ons that you can do to make your festival experience even better. They'll have additional and specialized camping gear potentially, or even generator use that you can grab. Sometimes you can find event and festival information right in the description of the listing page, but this is usually a case-by-case basis with a lot of owners. So again, you're just gonna have to talk to them and see what they allow for their vehicle, and also just get to know you and your crew that is going with you to the festival a little bit more. The last thing that you want to do is be dishonest about where you're going with your owner. You cannot disclose that you're going to be here and then end up somewhere else at a festival. I know that you might want to be trying to avoid fees or avoiding those higher costs. But again, going back to, this is a higher risk that the owner's taking on. You have to be respectful of that property. This is private property. It is an expensive asset, and so you want to treat it like it was your own. On top of all of that, a lot of RVs nowadays have GPS systems built in for security purposes, so it will show up if you are not in the right location, and fees will be applied after the fact. Also, if you do this, you might become in breach of your renter agreement, and that could cause you to not be able to rent again in the future. We are a community here at RVshare. We want to be able to build a space where people can trust and communicate with each other and know that they can hand off large assets to total strangers to take care of for the weekend, to hand it back and enjoy. So now that you've secured your RV and you have talked to your owner and everybody is great about heading to this festival, what you're gonna wanna do is check out the festival's website. You're gonna need to know what is prohibited and what has rules around what you can and cannot bring. There are some common restrictions that we see sometimes around if generators can be used, how long they can be used for, fire bans, fire pits, even we have seen sizes of chairs. So you just want to take a look at these things, because when you check into the festival, you will go through security and RVs are checked, and so therefore they have the right to confiscate any prohibited items that are not allowed there. So you just want to make sure you don't lose any of your property before you even get in there. Now for actual packing, that list is going to be way too big to cover here, but we did put our complete guide to camping and packing for festivals in the description, so make sure that you check that list, and then you're going to want to make sure that you cross-check that list with your listing page to see what your owner is going to be supplying with the RV and what you don't want to bring duplicates of. Cookware is pretty common along with linens, so just check out those things and see what comes with. The name of the game with dry camping is being able to reserve your resources, and that is so hard. It's hard for everybody. It's going to be extra hard for you beginners out there, and that's really because you don't know how many resources you are using when you're camping. And then on top of that, there's just kind of some base knowledge that you're trying to learn about the RV and how it operates in itself. So it's a lot of learning all at once. Now, it is not impossible for new campers and new RVers to do this. There is a big learning curve, but we really want to set the expectation with you that this is not glamping. This is not glamping. Now, don't get me wrong, it's still going to be a really, really big step up from tent camping. You're not going to be sleeping on the ground. You're going to have access to a private bathroom and some AC potentially, and it's definitely far more secure than a tent. But wanting to set that expectation, it's not glamping. It is not going to be a luxurious experience. The dry camping is just going to require a bit of sacrifice in terms of modern conveniences. So what we recommend is just like, what do you value? What do you care about the most? And you might have to just make some adjustments to your habits in order to have a successful trip in camping. Water is going to be the most important resource on your trip. With dry camping, the only water that you have is the water that you bring in. That is going to include everything in your fresh water tank and any extra water bottles, water jugs, or anything that you bring with you. A lot of festivals will sell water, but it's gonna come at an inflated price, so just be careful of that. Here are some tips on how to conserve your fresh water. Tip number 1, turn off the water. Don't let your water run when you're washing dishes, when you're brushing your teeth. It may feel good to stand under a shower, but it's the fastest way to get rid of your water. Showering is one of the quickest ways to both empty your freshwater tank and fill up your gray water tank. A great solution to showering at festivals is getting a solar shower. You can get a 5 or 6 gallon shower. They're pretty cheap. You can get them on things like Amazon. When possible, go a day or 2 or even 3. We're not judging here. Without a shower, you can get body wipes. They do a pretty good job to kind of hold you over in between your showers. Another water saving tip is to not flush the toilet as often as possible. It's also important to know that when you put toilet paper in there, it uses up more water to get that toilet paper out. If you're going to be using toilet paper, we recommend that you have a bag specially for that, and you can put the toilet paper in after the fact, seal it, and then bring it out into the trash cans outside in the facilities that are on the grounds. Being conservative with your water is going to not only help you stay out longer and have more water to use, but it's also going to help you not fill up your tanks and require you to leave and go dump. No wastewater should ever be dumped directly onto the grounds. Obviously, that is very, very true for your black water tank. That's just gross. But this holds true for gray water as well. It can smell, it can contaminate the groundwater, and it can ruin the flora and the fauna and potentially hurt animals after the festival is over. In the description, I have also added a link to our robust list of dump stations, so you'll be able to find one near you and your festival if you need to do it. And if for some reason you cannot go and empty your tanks while you're at the festival, if you did delivery or something like that, you're gonna have to switch to using your private facilities over to the ones that are provided by the festival. Or the other option would be to use those facilities more in the start of the festival when they are their most clean, and then save your tanks and your private facilities for the end. Again, make sure that you check out the links in the description. We have more complete guides on dry camping and camping at festivals that you should definitely check out. Thanks for hanging in there with me today. This was definitely a big list, and really we've only started to scratch the surface of dry camping and boondocking. So please make sure if you have any questions to leave them in the comments below on some of the other things that you'd love to learn more about in terms of dry camping and boondocking. We only really covered water today and tanks, and there's a lot more that goes into it. Generators, electricity, solar, so much more. So let us know what you're interested in learning about. Thanks again. My name's Katie. Have a good one. Bye-bye.